Hi folks, Chris Voss here from the Chris Voss Show, the chrisvossshow.com. Let's just do it live. Do it live. So anyway, we're doing another podcast here and coming to you with some of the latest, greatest, and all the spec toys, tech toys, all the crap that we've been doing and testing and all that good stuff. So this week's been kind of interesting. We've been playing with a lot of new phones from AT&T. AT&T's been kind of has the edge on the market right now, where they've been getting the phones ahead of time with everyone else. I think they pay more, and I think marketing-wise, it really does make sense for them to do that. In our last blog post, I believe podcast post, we talked about the Facebook First phone and the HTC One phone. The two phones we've gotten since then are the hold on. I've got too many phones on my desk. Are the LG Optimus G Pro. The LG Optimus G Pro, which you can see here, it's a giant phone that rivals the Samsung Galaxy Note 2. So you can see here they're pretty much about the same size, and they both have 5.5-inch screens. Pretty crazy. And then the other new phone we've gotten from AT&T, thanks to AT&T, by the way, for always hooking us up with phones. And we get phones from all the major carriers, but AT&T seems to have the corner on the market and getting the cool phones first. And then we have the Samsung Galaxy S4. We've been reviewing the phones on the Chris Voss Show YouTube videos and on the chrisvossshow.com channel. Be sure to go review those, like the videos if you would please, so we can keep all that good stuff coming at you live. We've been having a lot of fun. It's been crazy with all the phones. We're doing phone comparisons that are still coming out, so you want to watch for them. We'll probably be comparing with the phone that you have. You can see how these new phones compare to the phone you currently have, and if you might want to upgrade or not. You never know. So we've been doing a lot of that, and it's pretty crazy. Let's talk about the Samsung Galaxy S4, because it's one I got before the LG. Really, really like this phone. This is my number one phone right now. I'm really, really in love with it. I love the HTC One. It definitely comes in as the number two for me as two of the best phones to buy right now. My number one choice, if you can buy a phone, is the Samsung Galaxy S4. And if you can't get it, or you like the build of the HTC One, the HTC One is a secondary phone for me. It has an incredible screen, more PPI on the HTC One than the S4. It has front-facing speakers on the HTC One, which I do miss having on other phones. It's a really brilliant engineering thing that HTC has done, and I heard a lot of people saying, why didn't they do this sooner? It makes no sense. Why, you're trying to watch a video or play a game or do a movie, and most of these phones that have the speakers on the back, they're pushing the sound away from you. How does that make sense? Even, like the Apples, they have it down, so it's being pushed away from you. And people have made all these products that they can curl the sound waves back over to come into your face like normal audio should. So I think it's cool. I hope HTC does more of this, and I hope more smartphone makers take notice and go, hey, we should be doing the same thing, because that makes sense. It's one of the funnest features of the HTC One. In fact, I like making calls on it because I can hear people, because the phones, when it's laying on the desk, isn't sitting there with the phone, their voice blasting against the desk, and I can't hear anything. It's coming out the speaker, and it's mighty loud. And so it works really good. Plus, it's integrated with Beats Audio. I really love the phone. If there wasn't this Samsung Galaxy S4 that had a faster processor in it at 1.9 versus the HTC One's 1.7 processor, and it was about 300 less, or actually it's about 400 or 500 less on the benchmarking speed. So the Samsung's really fun. I would think it was the best phone ever, the HTC One. It probably was for the couple weeks that it had been out. But the HTC UI is really lackluster and lacks a lot of software stuff. When you look at what got put into the LG Optimus G Pro and the Samsung Galaxy S4, and the Samsung Galaxy S4, they crammed so much software. It's got a TV thing in it. Now, the HTC One does have a TV controller, as does the LG Optimus G, has a TV controller in it too. And if you have like LG products, like I believe their air conditioners, it's supposed to work with that too. Although I have an LG air conditioner, and For some reason we haven't got to figure out yet, but I've only had it for about 24 hours, so we'll give it some time to play with it. We're still trying to learn it and everything else. The LG I'm very impressed with. I love the LG Optimus G. I love that phone. It was a great phone through AT&T. Now we're talking about the AT&T version. I did not like the Sprint version. The Sprint version was much slower on its speed. Had a 13 megapixel camera, but it was much slower and really kind of dumbed down as a phone comparatively. It was a completely different build of a phone, so I'm not even sure why they called it the same name, because it was completely different and it was a cheaper build than the AT&T model. So I really, really love the AT&T model when I'm referring to the LG Optimus G. Now there's the Pro, which is basically like their version of their Note 2 to their Samsung S3. So it's a beautiful screen. What I do love about it, and what's kind of unique about it, is it does have a 1080p screen, which makes it different than the Note 2. The Note 2 is only 720p. So you've got a 1080p screen, which it's got really big icons and letterings on it, very easy to read. I mean, someone who's old and half blind like I am, I can actually read it and be like, oh, cool. I love looking at when you're watching movies and stuff. It's wonderful. I don't think the PPI is as high as the HTC One. The HTC One just has this very incredible 1080p screen to it. The Samsung is a little bit below, I think about 10 or 20 points or 30 points if I recall. I think it's about 20 points in PPI below the HTC One. So if you like the beautiful screen on the HTC One and the front-facing speakers, I mean, definitely it's a great little phone. But I had problems with the lack of software on the HTC One. I don't like the UI from LG. Still needs a lot of work, and most of the apps they have on it are really lame. At least Samsung put a lot of thought and care into the apps they put on the Samsung that are from Samsung. LG, the same thing. There's just a lot more care and quality put into the apps, and you can really see that when you spend time with these phones. You know, it's really funny how I get a lot of crap from people, and I know sometimes they're unhappy because they bought these phones, they've invested in them, and they think their little princess phone is the greatest phone ever known to man because they bought it. And oh my gosh, how could it be possible that they should ever make a mistake? And really, we're not trying to say that your phone is a horrible phone when we review it. We're not trying to say that you made the worst decision you ever made. There's actually just about every phone I've ever reviewed, I can find aspects about it that are definitely interesting to the consumer and definitely benefits. But sometimes there are negative points to it that we point to and go, hey, this kind of sucks about this thing. And but it seems to get a lot of hate on YouTube for us, which is kind of funny. You get people calling you all sorts of things. And people even telling me I should literally go commit suicide, like literally. Like I should kill myself because evidently I can't make the most perfect mobile phone review in the world. Because everyone knows if you can't do that, you should kill yourself, really, because your life is not worth living, considering that 99.99999% of the people on the planet never make a mobile phone review on YouTube. So I guess they shouldn't be alive either. Whatever. I guess if you're saying that, there's your sign, huh? So, yeah, so we've been reviewing the phones. We loved them. AT&T has been piling them on, getting a head start above everyone. I think the Verizon doesn't get the Samsung Galaxy S3, or S4, I should say, excuse me, until the end of May, which I've had a lot of people writing me from that are with Verizon going, that sucks. And I'm like, hey, man, I don't write the rules. I think Sprint has it right now. But if Sprint's a good carrier, and price-wise, there's some justification there. But, if you can find a signal, we have a lot of challenges finding signals in our area with Sprint and getting quick uploads and downtimes. But you get what you pay for. I mean, that's the rule in my book. I think they're a good service, but, you get what you get what you pay for. One thing that's really cool is one thing I am disappointed, though. I'll cover this. I really, really love Facebook Home. I love Facebook Home. But one thing I'm disappointed is there's no Facebook Home yet on the Galaxy S4 or even on the LG Optimus G for that matter. It's really only on a couple HTC phones and the Galaxy Note 2 and the Samsung S3. So it's unfortunate from that element, but I realize it's an evolving product that's just new in the marketplace. And sorry, I had to grab me a some liquid beverage there to cool my throat, to cool my innards. Yeah, we've been playing with the phones. The one interesting thing about the LG Optimus G is not only is its incredible size and beautiful screen, and it's got front-facing 1080p camera, and it's really big. Oh, and then the other thing about this is some of the LGs that I've had have been sealed. Well, this has got an open back to it where you can pull out a 3100 milliamp hour battery, which is pretty freaking huge. And it's got a removable back. You can put a micro SD card in here, expand the memory, and it's got 13 megapixel camera. So really, you've got the, I think on the market right now, I think there's the LG Optimus G, and I'm only talking about the US, keep in mind. In the US, there's only the LG Optimus G that has a 13 megapixel camera. The S4 has got a 13 megapixel camera. The original LG Optimus G with Sprint, and in the Korean version they call it, has a 13 megapixel camera. And the Sony Xperia Ion that came out last year actually had a 13 megapixel camera, although it wasn't very good, and it had gingerbread software on it, which was like way behind when Jelly Bean was coming out. So it is pretty interesting. Look at this. It's kind of, I'm kind of gonna have to get used to using my phones to control my TV. But you know, if you really think about it, you always have your phone with you, and you can't ever find the remote. So it's kind of weird. It's just the new thing where all these phones are now going to start coming out with the TV remote controllers in them or something, I guess. It's pretty crazy. I mean, they do have DLNA, and I really love these in the Android phones, the DLNA, where I can pretty much put these through the chip into my stereo, picks up my stereo, my Apple TV, everything else. If you have the right TVs, it'll pick it up in your TV. Evidently, mine's a little bit before that time. And in doing so, you can put your videos through, you can put your pictures right through the TV or the receiver in my case. So it's really, really, really cool. One other thing that's really neat about here's somebody buzzing. This is the danger that happens when you have too many phones on on your desk that are on. They all tend to go off at about the same time. So one thing that's interesting is they've got this new. We can't get it to show you there, but there on the home button for the LG, it has a number of different colors that it will take and show, like missed calls, messages. Let's see if we can get into some of that. And it's got this multicolored button that's pretty funky. Let's take a look at it. It's really cool, actually. I like it. The front touch light key button. Okay, so we'll take a look at this. And we'll take a look at this and the home button LED. So you can see here we've got several different, we'll take a second for that to come into focus. You can see here they got several different colors that are going to happen depending upon what goes on with your phone. And this all happens around this little home button in this capacitive touchscreen area, although this is a button itself in the home button. So it's going to be very interesting. I thought it was really cool. You basically be able to look at your phone and know what kind of message are being put on it or what's happening on your notifications based upon this color of this home button. So it's very smart, I think, from an engineering sense. Other than that, I like the LG. It's hard to say that it's better than the Samsung Galaxy Note 2. There's a lot of great things about the Samsung Galaxy Note 2. It has a stylus, it has some great software, it has a great UI, but LG also has a great UI. You can see they've got a very quick edit UI that I really like. They've added some features, but Samsung has got something like multi-touch. They did add some stuff to the LG where it knows when I'm looking at it, just like the Samsung. But the difference is between the two, a lot of it is it's got a 1080p screen on the LG Optimus G, and on the Samsung it's 720p. So for some people, they really don't notice the difference. They really don't care. They're just like, whatever. I don't care. I just want to be able to text my friends, and I don't need to see graphics. And hey, if that's your thing, rock on, buddy. Not all phones are for everybody, and it's really up to you. But for me, the number one phone right now that I'm using, and I really, really enjoy, I'm still trying to master all the really cool software they put on it, even do all the software they put on. Holy crap! Is the Samsung Galaxy S4. Really, really, really love this phone. And I'm finding that I'm using my LG a little bit more than my Note. I've kind of retired my Note 2, Samsung Galaxy Note 2. Don't get me wrong, I love that phone, but these new 1080p screens, I love 1080p screens. I love them. I love everything about 1080p. I like being able to see my colors and everything else. I love 4K whenever I can get 4K. I just like being able to see what I want to see. The screen, of course, in the HTC One is just immaculate. I think probably the best screen out there when it comes to PPI. So these are the new phones that are coming out. It's really interesting. You look at the Samsung Galaxy S4 came in with a benchmark of 3,200 on my phone. I think it was 3,264, when normally the iPhone 5 comes in at 15 to 1,600. So virtually double the speed on the Samsung Galaxy S4. So you have to start asking yourself these questions. I mean, there could be a new phone coming out in June to September. Sometime in that area, I think there's going to be a new phone. What will likely be if if Apple sticks with its put up is what I call it. It puts up phones instead of being grossly innovative anymore. They just kind of seem to keep people with enough improvements to bring in new people and not enough improvements to keep people from wanting to break their 2-year contracts with these service carriers. I don't think it's what a lot of people realize, why when these phone companies don't make outrageous innovations that are really huge, especially when the technology is already competitive in the market, they don't realize that for Apple, the reason they put up and they don't make huge innovative phones anymore is to keep people in their 2-year contracts happy. I mean, they don't want, the AT&T getting called up by 50 million people. They put out some phone that's leapfrogs way out there and ahead of the market, and they're like, I just bought this phone last month, and here's this phone that's like 10 times greater. So they put out a phone that's maybe 50% greater. So that way you go, well, it has some new stuff, but it still has my old stuff. I don't feel like I got a bad deal on this phone. Blah, 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 blah. There's a reason that Apple does it that way. One of the Apple issues, though, and a lot of my Apple fanboy friends, I used to be a fanboy, and I still like Apple. I really wish Apple would put out incredibly innovative, jump ahead of the market stuff, but they haven't been doing it, and it's questionable whether they're going to do it in the future either. You've been seeing that a lot in their stock slippage and other elements that have been going on, where people are realizing that Apple isn't as innovative. Maybe it has something to do with Steve Jobs being gone. I don't know. It's really up to them. Now, there's going to be some exciting things that I think will happen. You'll have the new John Ive, or Ivy, whatever his last name is. You'll have the new iOS 7.0 software that he's working on. That's supposed to be really cool. But I really question as to whether or not the problem with the iPhone 5, let's explain it this way. The problem with the iPhone 5 was the iPhone was ahead of the marketplace for about 2 months. And then the 1080p screens started coming out, the front-facing 1080p cameras, the bigger screens started coming out. And they were all faster by leaps and bounds over the iPhone 5, which said to us that the iPhone 5 wouldn't stay relevant for a year. Now, I realize there's people that buy those products and they go, it's not, it's still relevant, blah, 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 blah. Hey, yeah, I get it. But you don't understand, there's a certain technological factor that they're slowly falling behind in, and it's going to start compounding here very quickly. In fact, it already has compounded. You've got phones that are being put out ahead of their next market run that are purportedly, or not purportedly, I mean, I've done the reviews on them, they're basically twice as fast. So, what can you say? Sorry, I was trying to get some stuff out of the bag to show you guys next. So, it's going to be interesting. There's a lot of cooler new phones that are coming out, pending coming out. There's some more Windows Phone. Nokia is talking about a presentation they're going to make on May 14th, about a week or so from now. And they're going to be presenting a phone that, who knows what it's going to be like in the camera. We've heard the camera's supposed to be better. So there's a whole lot of phones that are getting really good at beating Apple to the market when Apple normally releases in June. And if you really think about it, they're soaking up consumers and getting a jump start on Apple's announcements and getting consumers buying their products and liking their products. So how much does that take out of the Apple pool? And I've seen a lot of Apple fanboys convert this last year cycle. They've just looked at the phones. They've looked at how 1080p's are out now. They've looked at the NFC chip technology, the DLNA chip technology. I don't have to have an Apple TV to use DLNA in my accessories. A lot of my electronic accessories, receivers already have it in there, so I'm not paying anything extra for it. And I can utilize it just in about any new electronic source that's out there now when it comes to using DLNA. So having to buy Apple TV is just a waste of money for me. In fact, I'm going to be selling my Apple TV here soon because I'm pretty much bailing. I'll probably be selling my iPad here in the next month because I figure that June they're going to come out with a new iPad, or later in September they're going to come out with a new iPad. And I'm probably going to buy one because everyone sends me products to review with the new iPad, but I'm really not excited to buy a new iPad. I got to tell you, I'm really kind of done with the whole Apple product. I'm tired of being dominated. On the Apple, all I can do is share off of the software or the OS. All I can do is share with Facebook and Twitter. With an iPhone or with the Android product, I can share with Google Plus. I can share with a plethora of apps that I want to share with, and it's not just, okay, well, we're Apple and we want to be jerks and you can only share with people that we want to share with. These things where Apple comes off the mountain and goes, guess what, you can share with Facebook now. I mean, people that own Androids are just laughing their asses off going, well, we could share with whoever we wanted whenever we wanted. Here's an example. If I want to share a photo on my Android product, okay? Like with your Android product, when you want to share something internally on your Apple, you only have two choices, Facebook and Twitter, okay? Take a look at who I can share with. And it pretty much just about all the apps that are on a given unit that operate off of photos and stuff. Look at all these apps that I can take and share this photo with. All these companies and apps in different places, Path, Google Plus. I can share into different photo editing things that go directly into them, etc., etc. All these different places that I can share. So when you look at the Apple thing where they're like, oh, guess what, Apple fanboys, we have something special for you. We've announced this year that, we have a friendship now with Facebook, and last year we had Twitter, and oh, you can now share with these two people. Hey, that's the emperor's clothes, man. That's just a load of BS. I mean, you're being sold some goods there, and that's where I've gotten tired of dealing with Apple is that whole emperor's clothes things where I'm told that something is so great, and you go to another service and just everything's over there. One of the last thing I want to round up with is Signet cases. Signet cases sent us these cases. We got about 5 of them we're reviewing on the chrisvossshow.com. These are actually for the S4, and they're really cool. From Signet.com. That's Signet.com. You can go to their website and check them out. But they sent us 5 different wild cases for the S4, and we really like them. In fact, I'm using one for my S4. It's called the Workmate. You'll forgive me, I forgot what it's called. It's the Workmate phone, Workmate Pro phone, I think is what it's called. But it's got a really tough skin to it. It's got like an inner skin that pulls out, and then it's got this exoskeleton hard thing. And even the inner skin isn't that soft. But they were using this to drop off of like a 20-foot drop off a cherry picker with the phone in it to show that the phone wouldn't break, that it would absorb the shock of the hit. And it is pretty freaking amazing. It performs really well, And these guys, I mean, they're just not doing like a 3-foot drop test like a lot of people do. They're doing like a 20-foot, 15-foot, or something like that drop test. Watch for the video. It's on YouTube, and I think we have it on our channels. Search for Signet drop test on the workstation, I think it's called, or something like that. But they make really good cases, so go check them out. I was really impressed. In fact, my S4 rides in this baby now when we go out, so it's completely protected. So be sure to check out the phones we mentioned: the HTC One, the Facebook phone, the Facebook Home. It's called the Facebook HTC First, the HTC One, the Samsung Galaxy S4, and the LG Optimus G, all of them from AT&T. Like I said, we'd love to be mentioning some of the other phones. Verizon, we really still love the Verizon Droid DNA. That was a really great phone, 1080p screens. You know, that's what you're seeing here. You're seeing the evolution now of the 1080p screens. All these latest phones that I've been talking to you about, except for the HTC First phone, the Facebook phone. That's still a 720p screen. But all the other phones, the LG, the HTC One, the Samsung S4, and the Droid DNA are 1080p screens, and all the new phones that you're probably going to see come out, at least on the high end of the market, as superior phones, are going to be 1080p. So watch for that when you're making buying decisions on your phones. It's really important now. Just like it used to be in TVs years ago. You go into a TV center and you'd be like, hey, this TV looks like a really good deal. It's not expensive as the other ones. And turns out it's a 720p screen as opposed to 1080p screen. And I got to tell you, there is a difference. There is a difference. And maybe you don't care, but that's fine. I mean, maybe you don't want to see those local anchors looking all... maybe you don't want to see their buggy faces. I've seen a few of the local anchors now where I'm like, oh, holy crap, maybe I didn't want to see that face in HD. And God knows you probably don't want to see mine, so there you are. Anyway, we'll round out this podcast. Thanks for coming by the ChrisVossShow.com. Be sure to check back in often. We're doing a lot of phone comparisons and updates. Be sure to like our videos on YouTube. Otherwise, I can't bring you any more. If no one likes our videos, we're just going to close it up, pack up shop, and go home. We're out of here, man. So, like the video or else. I'm serious. Don't make me threaten you. Anyway, thanks for coming by. We appreciate spending time with you guys and you guys listening in. Be sure to check us out on Spreaker.com. Spreaker now helps put out the Chris Voss Show, and you can hear this wonderful podcast coming to you there. And we're also good in the car. We're also highly recommended to listen to our podcast while driving, and we're approved. As long as you're not holding your phone or playing with your phone. What you want to do is before you leave in the morning, you want to start the podcast and then just let it play as you're driving. But keep your eyes on your road and your hands on both parts of the steering wheel. 10 o'clock and 2 o'clock. And do not take them off until you stop your car, shut it off, and then you can switch to the next podcast, The Chris Voss Show. Thanks for coming by, guys. Be sure to check us out on iTunes, and we'll see you next time.